Hey family, it's Tasha MAMABEAR Prepping. I'm just making sure that the dog was put up. So welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel where we just talk about food preparedness, emergency preparedness. We just talk about, I said food preparedness, food preservation, emergency crisis, different things that can happen to you and your family. Really, I just go over what me and my family do, and hopefully that helps somebody, you know, get the wheels turning in their own head for things that might happen to you and yours. So first thing I want to talk about is getting ready for this year to come, right? Everybody and their mother is talking about what is going to happen, how bad is it going to get, how bad is this year going to get, how much time do we have? Some days you ask me, there's a real urgency, as if something's going to happen within months. And then sometimes I'm a little bit more practical, and I'm a little bit more, okay, when we say totally things going left, you know, I think we have a couple more years. However, it only takes one event, one major thing to really make all of this crumble, because we are on eggshells. We are on the edge of the cliff. We are in the middle of a crisis already. It's just slow burn right now. And so a lot of people choose to ignore it because it is a slow burn. Or they choose to say, well, I can see it's happening, but it's a slow burn and we're probably going to bring somebody along to fix it up, right? And then everything will get back to normal and we'll be fine, right? They're just like, we'll be fine, we'll be fine. It's not going to be as bad as folks are saying. I think it is. And I think that every single day people ask me, you know, what do I do? What are the areas? You know, I go over my basics of what I tell people to prepare. But I'm basically going to just go into 10 areas, things that I think are very, very important. When you talk about all these videos with lists and people telling you stuff, preparedness folks telling you what to get, what to buy, what's going to happen, I think these 10 areas kind of sum up just really broad the things that you need to be thinking about. Because when things go left, when panic buying starts, these are the things that are gone. They're going to fly off the shelf, and they're everyday needed things for you and your family. And if you don't have these things, life's going to be difficult as you navigate the beginning of a huge crisis, especially if you have mass people going through the same situation, whether that's your city, your state, the United States, depending on how big it is. The worse these things we're going to talk about will get, and your ability to get them is going to get. Okay, so number one, some of these you're going to know. These are my babies. I talk about them all the time. Number one is food. Obviously, you need food to live. A lot of channels will talk about food, what kind of food. You need to think shelf stable. That's just period, point blank. That's what you need. That's canned foods. That's get you a pressure canner, get you a canner, start learning how to can food in order to take a food, make it safe, make it shelf stable to where you can actually make a soup or make a stew or make whatever it is, put it in a jar, pressure can it, put it on your shelf, and it's good for years and years and years. Okay, so learning the ability of food preservation and making food shelf stable. That's airtight containers, that's totes, that's Mylar bags, that's glass jars, that's learning how to water bathe, that's learning how to pressure can, that's learning how to dehydrate, that's freeze drying food, going to the store, stockpiling canned food, right? That's thinking about the foods that last forever. If you keep them right, there's certain foods, a ton of foods that will last you forever, and they're staples. They're basic staples. If I could only live off of the stuff that 30 or so foods that last forever, I would do it, and I could do it, right? So think about that. Think about staples, right? But food, how to get it. This could be emergency food for some people. They feel comfortable filling their pantry with food, their kitchen with food, and then when they go from there, they go straight to emergency type foods, emergency buckets and different packages that you can get. Maybe this looks like dehydrated food and it's just a bunch of number 10 cans in a location. Whatever that looks like for you, food needs to be a priority, because food is we're going to deal with famine. We're dealing with famine across the world right now, but we're going to be dealing with, it's going to be hitting closer to home. Okay. We are about to feel the effects of the last 2 years in regards to our farmers and the food and the ability to grow food or not grow food, and things that have happened, and all these distribution plants that had food, and the turmoil and stuff that we have going on with China and other imports, exports, folks that we deal with, countries. We're about to really start feeling it. And it is important that you get stockpiled in your home the foods that you and your family eat. Number two, I think I have on my list is water. water, water, water. And let me tell you, baby, if you have 8 cases of water in a corner somewhere and you're like, I'm good, I've got my water, I've got my emergency water. Okay. Is that emergency water in the sense of it's water that you put to the side and you've said, this is my emergency water, we don't really touch it, it's there for that? Will that get you through a small situation? Absolutely, right? You lose power for a day, maybe 2. Can that get you through the basics, right? Drinking water, maybe a little bit of that water being used to brush your teeth, but you're not bathing with that water, you're not getting clean with that water, you're not even flushing toilets with that water. Do you know how many little bottles you would have to use to be able to get, you know, enough water in the toilet to flush it? It's just ridiculous, right? So it doesn't make sense. Also, little bottles, having cases and cases of little bottles is not conducive for around your home if you're trying to do other things, right? If you're trying to drink water, or maybe an animal, a pet of yours, you're trying to give them some water, maybe. But if you're trying to do anything else, you need other bigger sources of water, right? Other bigger bodies of water, whether that's gallon jars of water or whatever. So when it comes to water, yes, that's a great start. Get your 8 cases, get your bottled water. I am a big fan of water any way you can get it. So get store-bought water and store it. Then you need to be thinking, filling every single container that is about to leave your home, right? You're not throwing away any kind of juice containers, soda containers. You're filling those up with water. And those can either be treated and you're using them for water later. They could be used for your gray water, and it's just going to be water you're going to use to water your garden when there's grid down, or you're going to use it to flush toilets, right? That type of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with that water, okay? And so you need to be thinking about keeping water, storing water, putting water away. Get your rain barrel. Start with one. Get you a rain barrel. Go to your local Ace Hardware. Get you a rain barrel for $60, $80, food grade rain barrel, and start catching it. Figure it out. Figure out how to attach it, your gutter to it, how to treat it. You're really just treating this water just enough to just keep the algae and the basic stuff off of it. Because remember, you're going to treat all water like it's been contaminated. Any water that's rain, catchment water, whatever, is always treated like it's contaminated anyway before we would ever drink it, use it, whatever. And when I say it's contaminated and you're going to then make it safe to drink, we're talking about boiling it, filtering it, treating it, right? I did a whole series on water. I'll make sure I'll link that playlist at the end of this video so you can check that out. It's about 5-6 videos on all water, different aspects of preparing for water. But you've got to get water in your preps, water in your home. Think about the resources around your property or home in regards to water and where that is. Number 3 I have is shelter. You've got to have a place to live, right? Very, very basic, seems basic. Most people will say, well, I've got this. I've got a place to live. I have a job. I'm fine. I don't have to really be concerned about this. But this could look a lot different to a lot of things, to a lot of people. This could be something as simple as you need to downsize. You have a huge, a huge place. Times are getting tough, or you're trying to prepare ahead of possible layoffs or whatever the case may be, and you're downsizing. Maybe this is families moving together and sheltering together because that's what makes sense, because of inflation, because of money problems, right? Maybe this is people trying to move out of cities and get to some land of their own and get out to more of a rural space. What else did I put? Oh, maybe this is just you looking at your current home and thinking about weatherizing it and protecting it, getting your security up, getting your fortification up, getting your weathering items done right on your home, okay? But your shelter and the things that you do to maintain that matter, whether that's making and getting another one, whether that's fortifying the one that you already have. But you have to think about shelter and get those things stockpiled. Get extra filters, all the things that have to do with your home. Get those things, because it's going to be gone. We're going to get to a point where there's not going to be food, there's not going to be water, there's not going to be anybody to call to do things for you. And so you have to prepare yourself. And that means where you're predominantly going to be, how do you protect that location, right? From people, from crime, from people stealing, from people vandalizing, from the weather, right? The sky, natural disasters. How do you protect that one place that you're going to have, that's protecting you and your family, your shelter, okay? Number 4 thing I have is meds and medicine and medical supplies. Super important. I mean, you have to have the ability, again, things close down, stuff happens. You're not going to have the ability to just maybe go to the doctor, go to the hospital, and you're going to have to take care of yourself. Having simple things, let's just say basic basic medical supplies for a cut. Having tons of Neosporin, a lot of different size bandages, being able to treat simple things like maybe a burn, right? Or a cut, something needs stitched. It's something as simple as, okay, I don't have suture, but I made sure that we had, you know, stitch glue or stitch bandages or whatever. Get the things, okay? Everything that you can possibly get your hands on that has to do with medical, with monitoring yourself, right? Monitoring your own heart, your own blood pressure, all of those things. Get those things so that you can monitor and be able to then treat yourself the best you can. Get the books, get the manuals, get the literature to help you make decisions about healing somebody and taking care of somebody. And think holistic too. Think about, you need your over-the-counter stuff, you need your prescriptions, you need your antibiotics, links in the description box if you have not gotten your antibiotics yet. But you need to get all these things. You need to get your supplements, your vitamins, all of these things stockpiled up. Vitamin D, super, super important. Vitamin C, super important. All these vitamins, right? Super important. Get this stuff stockpiled. Learn first responder, take a class, right? Learn the basics of, okay, assessing a wound, assessing, disinfecting and cleaning it and making sure that you're helping against infection. I mean, if you know just the basics of assessing a wound, cleaning the wound, and understanding the importance of that, and so that you do not lead to infection, that is huge. And then you have first responders, so you understand the stopping the bleed part, right? And then the closing up part, all of the things that you need to be able to handle somebody or take care of something. Something very simple could save somebody's life. And so having first responder training, there's all sorts of training out there that's actually free. Just peruse through the internet, find you some first responder training and do it. Do CPR. I mean, you can learn almost anything on the internet now. It's crazy, the ability that we have to just, through a touch of a button, find something that somebody's doing for free and take it, okay? So take advantage of that stuff while you can. Number 5 thing I have that is like an absolute must prep. I mean, you've got to get this stuff, and that's fuels. And that's all types of fuels. Fuels for gas. Maybe you need gas for the cars. Maybe you need backup gas for generators, or running something else, right? Maybe you need butane, propane, kerosene, lamp oil, right? You need all these different things, alcohol, right? And you need these fuels. You need these fuels for power, possibly for generators. You need these fuels for possibly for heating options in your home. You need them for cooking options in your home. So fuels are important. I think it's important to get options too, because then you just prolong your supply, the length of supply that you have when you are able to have several different options, right? Maybe this is fuel like, hey, extra wood, extra cords of wood. Maybe this is extra pellets for your pellet stove and stockpiling that. Think about wood. Maybe you have a bunch of solar. You have a lot of sun where you live and you have a lot of solar. Maybe that's getting extra panels to collect that fuel, to collect that sun fuel, right? What is it that you need in regards to fuel, and stockpile that, okay? And if you live somewhere, you're like, well, I don't really have a lot of space. You're talking about a lot of different stuff. Apartments, you can do this, okay? We did do this. It stops you from maybe size-wise of getting stuff, but it doesn't stop you from being prepared, okay? Number 6 is do not forget to prep, because these preps are going to be gone, and they're going to be some of the most hurtful preps that people are going to be looking for and upset and depressed that they don't have. And that is preps for infants, for babies, and for elderly folks. You've got to get this stuff. It's going to go fast. As soon as something happens, it's going to be one of those panic buying. First of all, panic buying, everything goes, right? But there's certain things that we need for everyday life. And if you have not been preparing those things, it's going to make life and the quality of life for infants and your babies and your toddlers and your elderly folks much harder. And that could come down to medicines. That could come down to certain foods, certain items that they use every single day, hygiene items, whatever it is. So think about specifically infants, toddlers, children, and specifically think about the elderly, right? And the things that you would need, whether that's medicines, certain foods, just certain things. Get those things and have those in your preps. Important to have those things even if you maybe don't have something immediately in your family, but maybe you have grandchildren, right? Maybe you have children, right? You never know who's going to come to your door, first of all, too. You know, maybe those family members, those families that are planning to come to you, remember, they have maybe another dynamic that you're not thinking about yet that you need to think about. You have these families, you guys have talked, you've discussed, you're going to come together, but you didn't really think, and you never really prepped for the fact that that other family has an infant, right? And that changes some things. That changes things with medications, with them getting sick, with dosing, with everyday things that they are going to need for quality of life. Okay, maybe that family has an elderly, or maybe you have an elderly parent that's coming, or that you plan to go get and bring. I don't know what the case may be, but you've got to get ready for those special family members. Okay. And next thing I have, number 7, is your pets and livestock. You know, a lot of folks, when they first start preparing, they go hard in the paint. Their water, food, meds, right? They're getting all the preparedness items, all the camping stuff, you know, all their different options for different things. And they totally do not think about the pets, right? And you got to think about the pets. And you have to go hard in the paint for pets, because it's not just, you know, oh, it's a couple months worth of food. I have a couple bags of dog food. No, you need to think like you think for you. Okay, I know it's a couple months. Maybe the dog goes through a big bag of dog food, takes 2 months. Okay, get 2 bags, get a big tote, maybe 2 bags fit in this tote. Okay, I've got 4 months right there. Okay, get 3 totes. Now you've got a year. You have to think long-term for your pets and your livestock. Same thing, you know, we have a cat, same thing with the cat. And options, dry options, wet options. Is there stuff that we can pressure can, make shelf stable, make ourselves and make shelf stable, and understand the stuff that both those animals can eat when the food is gone and off the shelves and we're out of food. What are you going to feed your pets, and understanding what is safe to feed your pets, right? Livestock, we have chickens, right? Okay, we just have chickens, no big deal. But being stockpiled on that stuff, right? Having their food, their snacks, their bedding. So being stockpiled for all of that stuff, so that all of your pets and animals are taken care of. Thinking about your pets indoors, if they had to come indoors for whatever reason, and having to go to the bathroom indoors, right? Having pads. Maybe you don't need pads on a regular basis at all, but all of a sudden you find yourself nuclear fallout, really bad air quality due to something, and animals have to be inside, and you didn't prepare for that. Okay, so you prepare for the things that could happen that maybe you don't use on a regular basis, right? You know, a muzzle for your dogs to keep them quiet if you are in some kind of situation where you don't want them barking. Okay, extra leashes, extra toys and treats, right? Just think about all the things that you would want for you, for your quality of life, and make sure that you've done those things for your animals and your livestock and pets. Okay. Number 8 thing I have is self-defensive tools. I can't stress this, self-defensive tools. This can be non-lethal or lethal. So if you're not a believer of 2A, you don't like it, whatever the case may be, you need to have something to protect yourself. Okay. But 2A, you got to have it. You got to have the stuff that goes inside of it. Got to have the training. Go to the range, learn how to do that, learn how safety, how to take stuff apart, how to clean it, how to put it back together. Let me tell you, if you don't know the basics of how to take something apart, clean it, keep it clean, you will get to a point where it will not work anymore. It won't fire. You won't have what you think you have. Okay. As soon as you go outside, start running around, wearing it on a regular basis, wearing it on your hip, that thing gets dirty, it gets dust in it, and it will misfire. It won't work. And you'll really be in a hurting way. So you have to, it's more than just getting something, having it in a lockbox for a rainy day. You've got to get it. You've got to practice it. You've got to learn taking it apart, cleaning it, all that good stuff, safety. And so it's important to get that stuff, stockpile. Cannot have too much of this stuff. Okay. Next thing I have is number 9, which is, manual tools, manual hand tools. This is, garden tools, stuff that doesn't plug in, does not take electricity. It's a manual tool. It's either for the kitchen manual tool. You know, you got the old school mashed potato masher, you got the grater, you got the can opener. You get all the manual tools so that you can do everything in the kitchen. without something that has to be plugged in? How do you continue to cook and do things in the kitchen that does not take power? Maybe you have a solar power generator and all that good stuff, but you need to plan and make sure that you have manual tools for the day that doesn't work, or maybe it doesn't generate, there's no sun, you don't have enough power to power something. You've got to get your manual tools, your household manual tools, right? Hubby has all these tools, but he's got to have all the backups for hand tools as well, right? Post digger, might have all the fancy, gas ran or whatever, auger and all this stuff. Maybe you have all this stuff, and maybe you have some other options like gas or whatever. But again, maybe that's a luxury at that point, and the gas doesn't need to be used for that. So you need to have your backups, your garden stuff. Backups. Get all your manual tools that are going to help you, and your home stuff, all your tapes, all your glues, all your tarps and ropes, and all the extra things that help you with your maintenance of your home. And when things break and bust, and you being able to get the things so that you can repair stuff yourself, right? Having Flex Seal, then all these extra little products that will make your life easier when you have things go bad. Extra nuts, extra bolts, extra nails, right? Hand tools to use them, right? That's important, because as we move forward and you're not able to just purchase things, buy things, or call for a service to have somebody come and do something for you, you're going to have the tools to be able to fix stuff yourself. What are you going to do? A tree falls in the corner of your house and there's nobody to call. There's no services to call. There's nobody. You're going to band together, hopefully, with your people, with your community, with your neighbors. I have a tree, and you guys are going to get up on that roof and assess it, be able to chop down this tree. I mean, you need tools for that stuff. And then you have to be able to, fix that the best that you can with what you have. So the more tools you have, the more extra supplies and materials you have, the better your chances are for being able to just move forward through a situation and not panic, because you have no idea what you're doing. You have no tools to do it. You have nobody to call. And then now you just live with this tree in your house, which then will begin to cause all sorts of other problems. Okay. The next thing is, and that leads back to the shelter, right? Now shelter's a problem, right? All right, number 10, last one I have is hygiene. Super important. Can't even stress this enough. This is more than just, having body wash, having soap, having toothbrush, toothpaste, be able to do your everyday stuff. Yes, toilet paper, tampons, right? Get all the things, right? But this goes to medical issues, right? You will run into medical issues if you're not able to keep up on game with your hygiene. You have to be able to keep up on your mouth hygiene, for example. Hygiene on your body. I don't know about you, but when I go to the field and I start being in a situation where I used to have where you weren't taking a shower, my lymph nodes start to go crazy, like in my armpits. I start to swell up in different areas. It's bad. You have to be able to clean yourself, clean your lady bits, your man bits, all these things. Your nails, your toes, your feet, super important, okay? It is important. It's going to be important for mental health, your quality of life, but medical reasons is why you really want to stay up on hygiene, because any of those things can turn into a really bad infection, and people die from infections. Things can turn septic, things can turn very bad, very fast, and you can die from these things, okay? And so hygiene is going to be super important. And again, you're thinking about hygiene for yourself, your kids, infants, children, babies, pets, livestock, everybody involved, grandma, grandpa, and what does that look like, right? You could take that farther, and what does that look like if the shower and the water's not running? How are you staying clean? Are you taking bucket baths? Or do you have a way to take a shower outside? Do you have a shower bag? Whatever it is, do you even have the water for that? But you have to think hygiene and staying clean so that it doesn't lead to something else and turn into something else. Okay. Now I know for a lot of you guys, this was like a basic video, right? You're like, I know all this stuff. I've been doing this for years. I know all these areas. Hopefully something I said just triggered. If you've been doing this for a while, it's very, very, very easy to feel either overwhelmed or complacent altogether. Like, I've done this, I have these things. Everything you mentioned, I have. Well, do yourself a favor, because I know that if you're complacent, there's a lot of folks that have stuff and you've forgotten what you had. You've forgotten how much you have, right? You haven't put eyes on it. You know you have things, you know you have the things, but you haven't organized for a while. You haven't inventoried for a while. You have no idea maybe what different drawers have. Take a look at what you have. Go through these different areas and just take a mental note right now, today. What do you have? What do you have in regards to food, and how comfortable do you feel? How many days away from starvation are you and your family? Ask yourself that question. How far are we from starving? Look at your food stores, wherever you have them, wherever you have them hidden, wherever you have them in different locations, whatever. Take a look at what you have and really compute how much do you think you have? How many days do you have? Months do you have? Maybe years, right? Really think that out loud. Water. Listen, water's gonna kill people fast. When we talk about the dying time, something major happens, and then there's a mass die-off right away. There's 1,000 ways why people die in that first beginning time. But water is gonna be one of those things. As soon as water is not good to drink, you're gonna have people that are gonna be getting sick and getting ill, especially if it lasts for a long amount of time, right? People are going to get complacent. People are going to just be like, well, this looks clean, and they're just going to drink it. Or making just bad bushcraft decisions because, well, this is the way I've done it forever, not realizing that it's a different world, different things, and stuff is contaminated, stuff is bad because there's other things going on in the world, right? There's chaos. There's people that maybe don't have bathrooms anymore that are going to the bathroom outside and in streams or around water sources. I mean, there's all these different things that are happening. Animals are not getting fed. They're dying off. They're falling in water sources. They're drinking from water sources. There's just 1,001. I could talk all day of how water can get contaminated as soon as things go left. And so you're going to have a lot of folks that are going to make poor decisions or absolutely just don't know how dangerous water can be and are going to die, either because they die because it's contaminated or they die because they can't get it. Just flat out, okay? And that's going to be causing wars within communities, right? Within your city or wherever you're at. That's going to be block wars. That's going to be wars of people trying to break into people's homes and at gunpoint, whatever, taking people's water, taking items from them, right? And when people are on the verge of dying, their family's starving, their family doesn't have water, you will be surprised what the average mother, father, law-abiding citizen will start doing, okay? So I hope you guys are well. So be well, be kind, do everything in love, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.